Professional face, professional face, professional face.
I didn't bring mine.
I can't find mine. It's in a box somewhere. Hey there people, welcome along to another Jenny Kirk video. I'm going to be doing a box opening and review. Now the other day, and if you go over to Zoe's channel, you'll see in her vlog that we made an impromptu trip to Blackpool and had a look around, and really don't know what's going on with those weird triffid things on the seafront. If you want to know what the hell I'm talking about, go and check out her vlog. But whilst it was there, Blackpool does have its very own specialist model shop, Tower Models, and I went on down in there with my dad to have a look mostly through their O-gauge stuff, but they do also stock 00, and in their second-hand cabinet I found this little beauty. So I thought that I'd open this up and give a little review of it. It's one of the all-steel ex-London and North Eastern Railway opens that Bachmann introduced into their range a few years ago now. And this is actually the Wagon in its original London and North Eastern Railway livery. And one of the things that Bachmann did was that they tooled up a few different options with or without chain pocket dimples in the side. But also, the early LNER liveried version also came with this wooden plank door option. So it's actually, since it was released, the first time I've seen one of these, and it is second-hand from Tower Models, but you wouldn't know to look at it. It looks like somebody's bought it and not really done anything with it, and then I got it for a really good price. So let's just take a look there on the end. We've got the catalogue number 38329, and this is the 13-ton high-sided open wagon in LNER grey, and it really is a lovely model. So let's get this open. Standard blister pack that we got inside, and just going to put that cardboard box to one side, and this just peels open standard way. Take that out from the plastic packaging, and we can see in there as well the pretty standard sort of shiny slippery plastic insert, and that's really, as I've said before, is just to protect the floor of the wagon from being rubbed in transit. So I can see here there is quite a bit of dust in this wagon. It is second hand, but actually it's ironic in a way that the dust from this having been out of its box on a shelf somewhere before it's been traded in means that dust has actually highlighted some of the planking details inside, and it's given me an idea actually that perhaps even just something like a little dusting of talcum powder inside some of my other wagons would just bring forward this detail that actually makes them look a little bit better. We can see that it's actually a really nice moulding, and there's a lot of separately applied detail. But first of all, what I'm going to focus on is you can see all this lettering on the side, and it's really crisply applied. We've got the NE for the London and North Eastern Railway. It's code high steel, and then interestingly, not to be worked off the London and North Eastern system. So I can only assume that for whatever reason, the London and North Eastern Railway didn't want these to stray off to the other of the big four railway companies, where presumably because these were so much more superior than the earlier wooden-bodied wagons, the big fear was that they wouldn't actually come back. They'd disappear and be used for somebody else's benefit under the common user agreement. We can also see that we've got these really nicely reproduced door springs, and the whole point of these is that when you opened the door on the real ones, it would bang down, and you didn't want it to just hammer into the chassis and the brake rods. So you had these springy things which would just cushion that blow. And these are actually some really nice separately applied details, and we can see we've got two on each side. Now I believe certainly in the first batch this was the only one that was supplied without vacuum brakes. So we can see we've got an accurate representation of the handbrake, and actually it brakes only on two brake shoes on one side of the wagon but both axles. So that has all been really accurately represented. And I think certainly latterly, all of these wagons, once they passed into British Rail ownership, were very quickly converted to having vacuum brake. And indeed, some of them did actually survive long enough to be converted to air braking and were recoded with I think it was OHB TOPS code, signalling that they had air brakes and a through vacuum brake pipe. But this is the original form with the unfitted, just with a handbrake. The couplings we can see now, the standard NEM pockets there, so they're very easy to change for whatever you would like, and nice free running Bachmann metal 3-hole disc wheels. The buffers are finely moulded, but they're not sprung, but they look pretty good. We've got a representation of the draw hook there, and there's actually some really quite nice rivet detail I'm seeing there on the sole bars of this wagon as well. So for what is actually quite a simple wagon, there is a huge wealth of detail that's been put into these. And I know that, as I alluded to before, there are different versions. We've got the ones with or without the chain pockets, which can be seen with the dimples on the side, which are actually very similar to the model which was released by Hornby 00 back in the early 1960s, but certainly the Bachmann model really is streets ahead of that. So what we've got here is I've dug out my cabinet one of the other different versions that Bachmann have offered. And this is in its very, very late engineer's livery. So we've got the TOPS coding ZGV, but the main comparison that I really brought this out to show you is this shows the vacuum brake fitted with clasp brakes. So we've got quite a difference there in what's presented in the underframe detail. But then also the doors. Now this, certainly in the first release of this wagon, was unique to this London and North Eastern Railway liveried version. And we can see there the alternative representation of the doors. So a lot of variety can be got out of this one fairly simple wagon through the very clever options that Bachmann has tooled up for, and they really have to be applauded for that. We've got the accurately moulded wooden plank door, and this, as I alluded to before, is unique to this particular livery variation, but I do believe that Bachmann have announced recently in their catalogue that this particular wagon is going to be re-released, and I believe that the wooden plank door variant is going to be released in a British Rail livery for the first time. The chains that you see on there are really, really well realised, and I know that when we go for the close-ups, they'll probably really hold their own, even under very, very cruel magnification. But they're not a separately applied detail. Everything that you see on this upper body appears to be integral to the one moulding, and that's pretty good because it keeps the price down and certainly makes these wagons much more durable. The floor is painted in a really quite like a dark wooden livery, and it's nicely done actually, because some of the offerings that I've seen with a wooden floor that's separately painted have been too light in my view, and it's something that the wooden floors would very quickly weather, get dirty and get really butchered by some of the loads that these would carry, and I think a darker floor does work a lot better. There is no internal representation of the inside of the doors, but this really, more than anything, is just a limitation of the injection moulding process. And certainly if it's something that does bother you, it doesn't really detract from the model for me, but if it does bother you, I have seen online on modelling blogs, a lot of people have found ways of scoring indentations to the inside to give a representation of that door. So if it does bother you, it is a very easy fix. The actual sides of the model are quite thick, and I think this is just a limitation of the injection moulding, but I personally don't think it detracts too much, but certainly they are somewhat thicker than scale thickness. Being a steel-bodied wagon, these sides in real life would have actually been probably no more than 1/4 of an inch, something like that, and that would be really difficult to model in 00 without the model itself becoming dangerously prone to just falling apart. So it is a compromise which I totally understand. Really what we have here is a good variation to add not only to the British Rail era rolling stock, with a wagon that's applicable right up through until probably early 1980s, and indeed some of these lasted long enough to get the departmental tops code, ZGV, ZGB, so it's a very long-lasting wagon. But Big Four era modellers, well, certainly London and North Eastern Railway modellers would welcome this to the Bachmann range to provide a little bit of variety into their wagon fleet. It is quite an inexpensive model by modern standards now. Certainly you can buy it brand new for around the sort of £10–11 mark, discounted with the box shifters. But second-hand good examples such as this can still be picked up for around the £5 to £6 mark. So certainly they are out there, and for those of you on a tight budget, they won't break the bank. Overall, I would give this model a good solid 8 out of 10. Yes, there are a few deficiencies which I've highlighted, but I don't think that they're desperately major. The only one which really stands out to the most critical of an eye is the over-thick moulding of the sides, but there are genuine reasons for this, so really we can't complain too hard. Anyway, I hope you found this video informative. Don't forget to like this video and share it too, and it's been really good. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video, and don't forget to look back through the channel and you can see other stuff that we've got going down there too. Until next time, you take very good care of yourself. It's me, Jenny Kirk, saying bye for now.